It's been a crazy year in women's college basketball. Piled up in Big Ten. ACC is unpredictable. After dark. Pac-12 never disappoints. And Great East is a battle. South Carolina had a rough season and held the Associated Press's No.1 ranking from start to possible finish next week. But there was chaos under the Gamecocks. A total of 14 programs entered top 5. Tied the record to 2008-09 season. 3 different Big Ten programs, from Ohio State to Indiana, and now Iowa, are at 1.2. He took the place next. According to Across the Timeline, 43 programs were ranked at least once in the top 25 surveys, surpassing only 2009-10 and both 1991-92 and 2014-15 totals. As NCAA tournament begins next Wednesday, Connecticut, South Carolina and Iowa are still biggest stories and most pressing questions awaiting election committee ahead of election market on Sunday, March 12. Free group contests for $25,000 for men's and women's tournaments. UConn guard Azzi Fudd is back. And Huskies have won title of Grand Eastern Tournament and are in good shape towards NCAA tournament. UConn has gone through an unprecedented period of injury. It's been a long and challenging season for the 11-time champion UConn Huskies, and they seem to be crashing at the worst time. The Huskies whimpered throughout February, jeopardizing a record 14-game streak of consecutive wins, dropping from their Final Four favorite status. That is, until Azzi Fudd, after missing 22 games, returns to training and plays in the Grand Eastern Tournament. His presence left the Huskies 6-7, 5-6-0 behind Villanova in the tournament championship match. The injuries are the story of UConn's 2022-23 season. And even with Fudd in the mix, UConn and everyone else isn't another March month. The Huskies entered season without former National Player of Year Paige Bueckers and star novice Ice Brady, leaving 10 players on roster following late addition of freshman Inês Bettencourt. Fudd carried Huskies on the offensive and was an early nominee for Player of Year awards until he injured his right knee in December when he was defeated by Notre Dame. He missed 8 games over the course of nearly 6 weeks of action, which was the exact forecast for his recovery. The story continues while he was out. UConn was released on January 8 in St. Louis, where there were no minimum of 8 current players at the conference. He had to postpone his game against John's young striker Aaliyah Edwards, first-year student Ayanna Patterson and second-year student Caroline Ducharme were also injured. Head coach Geno Auriemma also missed time to focus on his health after his mother in December. In Fudd's second match on January 15, he injured his knee again and did not play until March 4. The team said it would not release a timeline for his return, and there was optimism around the schedule he would return to. He warmed up with the team before the season finale, but was eliminated. The injuries left UConn with 7 to 8 players, and Auriemma hesitated to lean on the reserve bench. From start to the bench, score rates were staggering, and both mental and physical fatigue began to emerge. Auriemma, after a defeat to Xavier that he almost lost, refused to point out exactly that, telling him there was trouble over him. The team was selfish, as the players would pick and do it when they wanted to hear how they were coached. In February, UConn suffered an impressive 4-point loss South Carolina at home, but also to Marquette and St. Louis. On the way a record 6-3 during the month, Johns suffered 2 bad Big East defeats. The Huskies suffered their first consecutive defeat since 1993 in the first season since 2013. With at least 2 conference defeats. There is renewed optimism that UConn can run the table again and make the Final Four. Fudd's return was the first time since November 14 that the program had 10 healthy players. And Fudd completely changes the game plan for the opponent's Huskies. Aliyah Boston and South Carolina Gamecocks celebrate their win in the SEC Tournament Championship match at Bon Secours Wellness Arena in Greenville, South Carolina, on March 5, 2023. This is South Carolina, and everyone else. South Carolina entered the regular season as a favorite and finished in the same way. The reigning champions finished their first regular season in program history with 7 wins against teams in the top 25 of the net. In the November off-conference program, the Gamecocks defeated Maryland by 25 points and Stanford net 5 numbers in overtime and UCLA 9 numbers. Last month, South Carolina secured its first away win against Connecticut by 81-77 margin, cementing its leadership status, and he brought the SEC championship back to Columbia with a second win against Tennessee on Sunday. At Gamecocks, National Player of Year Aliyah Boston reigns, winning 4th SEC Defensive Player of Year award and 2nd consecutive POY award. He ranks for a 2nd National POY award, but is low due to his averages, the constant unnecessary defenses he faces, and his team's ability to step around him, the strength, size, defense of the program and rebound. But its main advantage is its incredible depth, so much so that head coach Don Staley basically has a power 5-5 on the bench. No player plays more than 26 minutes per game. Camila Cardozo, a junior pivot 1.80, was named 6th Player of the Year at the conference with an average 9.7 points, 8.9 RPGS and 1.9 BPG at 18.2 MPG. He was also selected to the All-SEC second team. Redshirt first-class guard Raven Johnson took lead in major matches, including SEC championship win, eliminated by quarterback Kiera Fletcher, and became team leader with an average score of 3.2 from reserve bench. And Laetitia Amahir was so important in the SEC tournament run that Boston gave the entire tournament team trophy to 6-4 senior strikers. The senior group lost a total of 8 games in their college careers. And when the NCAA tournament was canceled, they rank No. 1 as a first-year student, 2 Final Four docs, and 1 championship. South Carolina would be the first ever repeat winner since UConn rocked 4 in a row in 2013-16. Tennessee and USC are other consecutive champions in the history of NCAA Division I championships. A different team has won the last 4 championships, based on the Gamecocks' 2017 title. Yes, Caitlin Clark is as dangerous as ever. From the logo, Iowa stands out as Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark continues to be. Are you serious, Jack? Be ready to ask. He did something stupid at Christmas more times than Cousin Eddie. Even if the logo in question is relatively small, Clark routinely pulls up from the logo and hits it for 3 seconds. He still finds teammates along the pitch in the transition and passes through a cramped paint. The young quarterback averages 27 points per game, exactly the same as the second-class country leader, only behind Maddie Siegrist from Villanova. 3.4 are third place in threes and can reach free throw line top 5 ratio nationwide. In the second season in a row, he ranks first with 8.3 assists per game, and with 7.5 rebounds per game. It ranks in the top 3 in the country rankings. Clark is a threat to triple-double every night, and as difficult as it may be to understand, the heat rises in big matches. Ohio State head coach Kevin McGuff